No, he's away today.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll do the land acknowledgement. Municipality of Dysart acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog, Island, Rama, Boswell, and Georgina First Nations. And we thank these nations for their care and stewardship as they pass through these lands. Could I have a resolution to adopt the agenda?
Yeah. Be
Right.
it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council of the municipality of Dysart et al., held on December 10th, 2024, be approved as presented.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature? Being none. Adoption of the minutes of the last meeting.
Be it resolved that council approves the following meeting minutes as circulated: regular meeting of council November 26th and public meeting November 26th.
Mover and seconder. Carmen, Pat, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Any reports from the county, Walt? No. Okay, so we need a resolution to go into the public meeting.
Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the regular meeting of council at 9:05 a.m. to proceed into a public meeting to consider zoning bylaw amendment file D14-ZB-2024-11 lands of Klossner.
Okay. Okay, to open the public meeting, and here's our comments.
Marie, sorry, did we get a mover and seconder on that?
I'm sorry?
Did you get a mover and seconder on that resolution?
I thought I did. I thought it was Carmen and Barry.
Okay. Didn't hear it, sorry. Perfect, got it.
Okay. Okay, the public meeting for December the 10th, 2024 will now come to order, and a notice of those in attendance that this meeting will be live streamed to YouTube and recorded. Please note the recording will be linked to the municipal website. The purpose of the public meeting is to present planning applications in a planning forum as required by the Planning Act. This is a public meeting to consider one proposed zoning amendment to the Dysart zoning bylaw 2005-120. It is council's responsibility to consider all the information received to date regarding the applications and to hear and consider any views you may have about these applications. Every person present or registered will have the opportunity to ask questions about the proposals and voice their opinions regarding the same. Please state your name and your relation to the application prior to speaking, and each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide comment or ask questions. Please direct all your questions and comments to the chair. Please restrict your comments to planning matters only, and after this public meeting is over, council will make a recommendation as to whether or not the proposed zoning amendment should be passed. Council's recommendations will then be considered during the regular meeting of council. Once council has made a decision on the proposed amendment, notice will be circulated as per the Planning Act, and all those persons who gave the municipality written notice that they would like to receive notice of the decision will receive a copy of the decision. You must make this request in writing to the municipality. The Planning Act specifies that if a person or a public body does not make oral submissions to a public meeting or a written submission to the municipality before the proposed bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the municipality to the Ontario Land Tribunal and may not be added as a property as an appeal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. We will now commence the public meeting as per the agenda. The first application is file number D14 ZB 2024-11 Lands of Klossner. The manager of planning will now give a brief overview of the purpose and effect of the proposed amendment, and if the applicant or agent is in attendance, does he wish to explain the proposal? And council will now have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant or staff. If any member of council wishes to ask a question, please raise your hand. The meeting will now be open for public comments. Is there any one present who wishes to address this proposal? I think there is. And any member of council wish to ask questions? Okay, so
Thank you.
Jeff, I think you're going to give a report, or
Yeah, I'll do a quick summary and overview of the application. So, the application is for the lands of Klausner. The purpose of the report, the purpose of the report and the application is an amendment that would change the zoning of the subject property from open space OS to waterfront residential type 3 exception zone in order to implement site-specific provisions that include setbacks for existing structure, existing lot frontage and lot area, intended use of the waterfront residential for the subject property, minimum water setback, which would be the stream, for the main building, lot frontage minimum of for the Halliburton Lake Road, which would be 30 meters, and lot area, the minimum lot area of 2,000 square meters for the property. And for clarity, the proposed sketch and draft zoning schedule was attached with the application. And just more specifically, 3.16 of the zoning does outline that where a standard waterfront lot that is within the registered plan of subdivision and has been severed by a road, or into two or more lots, which this one has been done by an approved street, the original lot shall be deemed to continue to be one lot as if it was had not been severed, for the purpose of determining the proposed and permitted uses and zone provisions applicable to the severed lot. All neighboring property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands and appropriate agencies were circulated for this application. To date, no comments have been received, and the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the Dysart et al. Official plan, is appropriate and represents good planning, and staff recommend that council approve the bylaw. And if there is anybody in attendance that wishes to speak to the application, they can do so now.
you have anything to add, Mr. Klossner?
Yeah, this, like I mentioned, I think it's probably been beaten down, but we're just literally going to be maintaining the same footprint of the current property and putting a foundation underneath it that will include some living space, but the property itself will be approximately 8 feet higher, but no other differences in lot coverage. So really more of an improvement from the pier system to a basement or ICF type wall to promote a better foundation.
Okay, understand. But you're just raising the cottage, in other words.
Correct. Yes, it will be on the same property. It may involve switching septic based on living space slightly, but that would be about the extent of it.
Okay, so is there any members of council that have any questions? Council Boyd?
I don't really have a question, but Deputy Mayor McKechnie and I were up there and had a look at this, and there's no problem with it whatsoever. I totally understand what he's trying to do, and I think it was an oversight from years ago that why it got zoned that way in the first place.
Okay. Any other comments from council? Okay, this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting then, and if there's no further questions from council, this concludes the public meeting on file D14 ZB 2024-11, lands of Klossner. Okay, so
I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the report for file number D14-ZB-2024-11, lands of Klossner, which consists of part lot 15, concession 10, block A, parcel 1, plan 395, in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al., be received for information, and that council directs that a bylaw be brought forward for consideration during its December 10th, 2024 regular meeting, and that council recommends that the bylaw be approved.
okay, mover and seconder, Councillor Boyce and Donaldson, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, on a resolution going back to regular council and
Yeah. Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the public meeting at 9:13 a.m. and reconvenes the regular meeting of council.
okay, mover and seconder, Nancy and Malt, all in favor? Okay. Got that? Okay. Next is, I guess Haley and Jeff are here for, Mr. Harris. So. Okay, could I have who's speaking for staff here?
No one, we'll just have the delegate speak first and then staff can answer questions afterwards.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, and Mr. Harris?
Good morning. My name is Michael Harris. Good morning, Mr. Mayor Fury and council. My name is Michael Harris. I'm here on the request of my in-laws, Larry and Karen Walters. They are the owners of 1033 Hedgerow Lane on Halliburton Lake. The issue I intend to present is a problem with the 1978 parking agreement on the Hedgerow Lane road allowance. In 1978, the town made an agreement with the owners of the property of Halliburton South Island at Halliburton Lake for the purpose of providing parking for 8 vehicles. This was to take place on the road allowance adjacent to the lake. In 1996, my in-laws purchased the property at 1033 Hedgerow Lane. At that time, the residents had created enough parking for 10 to 12 vehicles. From 1997 into the 2000s, the island residents had plowed out and cleared more areas on the road allowance to increase their parking to approximately 18 to 20 vehicles. In 2019, my in-laws started having issues with people blocking access to their property. And due to the topography of the previous owners had created 3 separate entrances onto the property. 2 accesses that are being blocked on a regular basis are one at the very top of the property near the back of the property and one at the bottom of the hill near where the island residents park and have their 2 docks. There had been no issues with my in-laws using those access points from 1996 to 2019. It was only after this point that the agreement had been brought to their attention. In the last 2 years, people have been purposely blocking the driveways, even when there was plenty of other available parking. In the summer of 2024, my in-laws received an email stating that their vehicle would be towed by one of the residents on the island. Reference to the following email of August the 2nd, 2024. Larry, I noticed when I came back from the marina that you had moved your van over and had parked in an area designated to the South Island property owners and their families, which you are well aware of from the letter I forwarded to you from the town of Dysart et al. We are expecting a larger than normal weekend crowd here, family, and if one family member has nowhere to park, I won't hesitate to have your car towed. You have plenty of room in your driveway for 2 vehicles, and originally your driveway to your property came from the other side of the cottage, which was changed from your previous owner.
Okay.
So with that, we would like to request council to update the parking agreement to provide sufficient posted parking for the island lots to ensure that the parking spaces do not interfere with the mainland property owners. With that, I've got diagrams and pictures that follow that will be on your iPads as well.
So do the island people have an association or a group?
It's just a group of people living on the island.
Actually, it's their parking. They should mark it, but,
Well, from what we've been told by the residents, they feel that the agreement states that they have use of the entire road allowance from the lakeside to Curry Road, and they can park wherever they feel on that entire.
so it's not
length.
restricted then.
The agreement had stated originally that there was for eight vehicles to be
8,
parked
now we're up to 20.
on a designated spot that was supposed to be marked in red on the original survey. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find a non-photocopied version of that original survey, so we don't know where the red mark is at this point. Like I said, they're going on the basis that it's the entire road allowance that they have access to. The diagram that I currently have up shows all of the parking that they currently have marked in black. That'll be the first diagram. They have the main one down at the very bottom of the island, or sorry, at the point. Second one, sorry, I should also identify that the red marks are the access points onto the property. Second parking just above the lower entrance point. A third parking area above, just south or just east of the upper parking, and another parking area to the west of the access point, and then a larger area behind our property line.
So the issue is they're blocking your driveway. That's the issue.
The main issue is that they're parking blocking their driveways, because they feel that parking in front of there is considered the road allowance, and they feel that they're allowed to use that.
Okay. Okay, Mallory?
Staff have spoken about this. This is quite an old parking agreement, but I do have, just so council's aware, as a suggestion that staff review and enforce the 1978 parking agreement, because obviously it says 8 spots. I think it's evolved quite a bit since it was first put in place. And then just something for council to be aware is that when staff start to enforce the parking agreement as written back in the 70s, the island residents might come forward and ask for it to be redone, basically, because I think that's probably not going to be as much parking as they're used to. So if council wants us to go ahead and start doing that, that might then trigger them to come back and try to amend their parking agreement.
And it's pretty clear, the driveway, it's marked out, so they know not to block it. It's,
Yeah, the driveways have been there since
Yeah.
prior to our purchase of the property.
okay, so what are you saying then, Mallory, that
Basically, staff have discussed it and that we can start enforcement of the parking agreement as written, which is the proper thing to do. Like it was written in 78 for 8 spots. We have outlines of where they should be going. Feel free to jump in, anyone else, but this enforcement though, I want council to be prepared that they might get calls because we're enforcing the agreement as written. And then the next step for those island owners is to request that their parking agreement be amended if it's not enough spots for them anymore. But this will reinforce where they were supposed to be parking.
okay. And do the island people have a spokesperson, or do we know who that is, or they don't?
Yeah, Haley may be able to help us too, but sorry, Maureen,
Yeah.
speaking about getting calls, I've already had lots of calls. On both sides.
Yeah.
So, and I totally get it, but it is fixable. There's room to increase parking there too, if we wanted to, or if they want, I would say they want to. There's room to make it a few more parking spots there that wouldn't take a whole lot of work. But, so I think it is very fixable, but it might be a good idea to update the parking agreement. And can you tell me, Mallory, was there 8 properties, or Jeff, was there 8 properties to start with back in the 70s, or has that been some severances or something gone on since then?
I can answer that. Oh, actually, I can try and answer that. I don't know if there's been recent severances. My guess at the time of the agreement is that there were 4 properties, because the zoning bylaw requires 2 parking spaces per property. So right now there's also there's an agreement issue, but also a zoning compliance issue because they don't have sufficient parking for the number of lots on the island. So as Mallory mentioned, the appropriate avenue would be to do enforcement. This would shift the responsibility to the island residents to come back and make application to amend their agreement, which kind of shifts the focus of costs and effort to them as well. But as Barry said, there appears to be space in the area that can be used for parking. And that's the benefit of the agreement. This time we can get a site plan and define those areas where they should park.
And Jeff, before we move on, what would be the cost if someone wanted to amend a parking agreement?
So it's a $500 administration fee. And this is again, this keeps coming up over the last few meetings, but this is again a cash in lieu of parking process. So council recently set the cash in lieu of parking for island properties at $4,000 per 2 spaces. So again, it's roughly 2,000 per space. So they already have approval for 8, so any additional spaces would be at 2,000 per space or 4,000 overall.
No, we don't have, so I just want to cut, and some of you might be mad at me here at the council table, but maybe this is something that we should have maybe done if we allowed severances to happen.
Yeah.
This is something that the municipality needs to take a little bit of responsibility about, that maybe we should have had that parking thing updated back when all that happened. So that's why I asked if we've, if there has been severances done or not, so.
Yes, there are 7 properties currently on the island.
Right, and you think originally there was 4?
Originally, there was 4 according to the agreement.
Right,
I
okay.
have a copy of the original agreement for you guys.
So
if you want.
all I'm saying is maybe we should just be a little bit cautious that we are a little bit of we should have updated the things at the time, maybe a little bit, so. Anyway,
Barry, do you know them on the island? Have you been chatting?
I've talked to them. I don't really know anybody, but yeah, I've talked to them, yeah.
Well, maybe it wouldn't hurt to reach out even recently or just after the meeting, let them know what's happening too on the same note.
Right, yeah.
So they need 14 spaces, not 20.
As per the zoning bylaw, yes, 14 spaces.
Yeah.
Which is to accommodate one vehicle and 1 trailer.
Or 2 vehicles. This is no trailer. Okay, so then what's council's position here? Are we gonna enforce it and ask them to upgrade it? Yeah, I think that's what we can do. That's all we can do.
Can,
Yes.
I have a
ma'am.
question. Do they have docks?
Yes, they do. They got 2 docks.
So do they pay for license of occupation on the docks? On municipal property?
I doubt that they do have.
Well, that'd be another thing to add to that.
So. Ooh. I don't know, we're going around in a circle here, but we gotta get something.
Well, Maria, I kind of agree with Barry. If we allowed them to have
More
14,
severances.
14 spots and anything above that, maybe they would have to come up with money, cash in lieu.
Yeah.
And then they could designate the spots and maybe it was defined a little better. It'd make everyone happy.
So. We got a contact there. We don't even have a contact on the island, do we?
I do actually have email addresses for all of the owners on the island.
Oh, okay, good. So we should tell them what we're thinking then and what they need to do. So are we in agreement then that we'll go to 14 spaces? Without charge? And then, and beyond that, they'll have to pay for extra parking.
So
Who's
are you
creating the parking
directing
spaces?
staff
Yep.
to amend the
They're there
permit
now,
at
okay.
the cost of the municipality?
Okay, do you think that'll
Sorry,
solve it?
Mike, would you say there's 14 parking spots there right now?
There is the ability to have 14 spots in the current
Condition,
current
that's it.
condition. Our only request is that if it was possible for them to be posted so that it would be
Right.
more obvious.
Just designated a little better than what it is right now, because there's no signage there.
There's no signage
whatsoever
there right
right
now.
now. Yeah.
So simple signs would do it then.
Yep. And then if they disobeyed, either side disobeyed the signs, then you've got the right to go in, I guess, bylaw would have to
Yeah.
step in.
All right, so
So, sorry, can I clarify? Are you directing staff to update the parking agreement at the cost of the municipality?
up to 14 spaces.
Okay, so you would like staff to bring back an amendment to the parking agreement?
I think that's what we're asking.
Or Murray should get Haley to reach out and say, this is what we propose, if you want more, why do it twice?
Yeah, I would imagine most of those places have a car and a trailer and maybe a second car.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be.
And the issue too, I think, and Mike might agree with us, you have a long weekend and, you know,
Yes,
all of a sudden you've got family come up and it's,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a free for all, right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
okay. Jeff?
Yes, thanks. I just want to elaborate on Mallory's question there. So if you're asking staff to bring it back and have the municipality amend it, then the administration costs and the legal costs are going to be at the municipality's expense to do this. If we're going to try and enforce this agreement, then the cost would be transferred to the island property owners. So I think that's why she was seeking that clarification.
Okay, so what's the wishes?
Sorry, Murray,
Yeah.
Mike, in your letter there, or your email, you said that right now they have 18 to 20 spots?
Yes.
So that they're already over the 14, so if it's 20, they owe us 6 times 4, that's $24,000, is that right?
Yeah, I
I,
thought,
I think the issue too is that if we update the agreement at the expense of the taxpayer to 14 spots, they're already over that limit. So I don't know that we're solving the issue yet,
By just updating it to 14. So I don't know how council wants to proceed with that.
I think that you should reach out to the island property owners, let them know what the plan is and that they need to come back with a new parking agreement at their expense. Not every,
That would be staff's recommendation.
yes, I agree with that.
But also should they, like, I agree with you 100% there, Nancy, but also let them know that we're in renewing the new parking agreement. It is 14 spots. But we've heard that you've already created up to 20 spots. So if you're gonna, they're gonna tell us they're only gonna use 14, but you know, like you still got 6 spots there that on long weekends, and you know, somebody has a family up there. Like maybe we should solve this problem once for all and tell them that, do you want 20 spots? And if they say yeah, well, fortunately it's $4,000 a spot, right? 6 4s are 24.
let's reach out and see if they want to do it. Yeah, let's go back to the meeting with the law.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? On those 20 spots, are 3 of those spots in your driveway area?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Went off by itself. Magic. Okay, so are we all right with something there, Mallory, for a resolution?
Yeah, 1 second. So are we okay with directing staff to reach out to the island property owners to clarify the terms of the 1978 parking agreement and direct them to make application to amend the parking agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read that. So be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the delegation from Mike Harris detailing concerns with island access parking located on Hedgerow Lane Road, and further directs staff to reach out to island property owners to clarify the terms of the 1978 parking agreement and direct them to make application to amend the parking agreement.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, next, Mr. Payne. And we got 3 or 4 people here for you. Okay, Lance, if you want to carry on there.
Okay, thank you for your time. I and my colleagues, Charlie Johnston and Stella Poisson from Bigamog are here to discuss a traffic calming option for Bigamog Road to address some speeding concerns. We know that council has previously approved one option for the temporary speed bumps here in front of the arena and curling. But this is another option that we'd like to consider. So one of the things with Wigamog Road is that there are a number of hills and blind curves from Highway 21 to Halliburton Heights. Also, many of the residents are on the opposite side of the water, so there are people that have to cross over to get to the water. And as I mentioned in the brief, we've had quite a few incidents that have been reported to us, dogs that have been hit, residents concerned about getting off the road with speeding cars and so forth. People concerned about their kids going across the road and the dog walking. So these complaints or concerns have been shared with council, and we've also reached out to OPP on occasion to ask them to try to come and monitor the speed limit. But and we've also got the CAA signs, slow down, please slow down, and done other measures. But all of these things are still not effective, and we're concerned that we need some additional traffic calming options to consider, and this would increase the safety for residents on the road. So I think Stella is going to just talk to you for a minute about some of the issues that she's had personally. Do you want to come up, Stella?
Good morning. Thank you for your time. I've lived at the Silver Beach development on Wigamog Road for the last 11 years. And so I've been there while that development has become larger. All the buildings were completed, and they are all, they have residents in all of them. Most of us there use, obviously, boat slips, and so we cross Wigamog Road in order to get our boat slips individually, when we have grandchildren, when we have guests. In addition, there are those of us who have dogs. And when we walk with dogs, there are two areas specifically that are on either side of us. Very sharp curves, and curves that really stop a driver from coming in our direction, knowing that either we are walking or that we are walking with our dogs. What I do with my dog, he's a senior dog, but he likes to wander and to walk. But when we come to those curves, I cross the street to get on the other side so that a car that might be coming, and we would be safer in that situation. I've also noticed that we have a resort there next to the Wigamog Resort, but the Highland Heights. And they have a sign up there during the season when they are concerned with their clients that they walk children across the road in order to get to their beach. They have a beach not too far away there. So my concern, I guess, is my safety and the safety of my dog when I'm walking areas that are narrowed when those curves occur. And if there is anything we can do to draw to our driver's attention that, in fact, there are other individuals who use that road in addition to them, and to encourage them perhaps to reduce the speed at which they're traveling. Thank you.
Okay, so we know that, the best option is to have law enforcement on the road, but that's not possible with the limited resources. And these flexible bollards that that we're asking to be considered, they are intended as an objective to try to reduce the effects on police resources. So why should we consider these as an option? They are being used in, the manufacturer says 500 municipalities across Canada, mostly in Ontario and in Quebec. They are also, as far as locally or nearby, they are being used in Muskoka. So there's an option there. They have been used in Ottawa since 2012, and there are thousands of them that are used there. So this is definitely not a new option to consider as far as one of the traffic calming considerations. As far as potential advantages, again, I think what was made clear that they have to be non-permanent. So they are removed in all of these municipalities in October. They're implemented in May. There is nothing that prohibits the plows during the winter months. As far as emergency vehicles, I became aware of the bollards in Newmarket because they're on the street right beside South Lake Hospital on Queen Street. And when discussing with Newmarket, they said there were no concerns with them impeding emergency vehicles. So that's another consideration. They are relatively inexpensive. And I apologize, there is a typo in the brief that I sent. I did get a current price list. So they are $275 per bollard instead of $220, which is what Newmarket had indicated to us. And I think though, all in all, you know, those are the advantages. They are to be placed in the center of the road. They're about 4 feet high. If a vehicle does hit them, they will spring back into position and they will not damage the car or the vehicle. So the ask is to consider this as another traffic calming option for Wickamog Road specifically. As Stella mentioned, there are some specific curved areas in the road that we'd like to trial to have these placed on. And are there any questions the council has for me at this point?
Well, Lance, I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
But there isn't a road we have where there isn't speeding, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I don't know what, and the Wickamog Road, it's narrow and we can't, because the way it was developed, it was along the lake to start with.
Yeah.
And then it went to the other side of the road, and that's what caused the problem, the back lots. Because now people have to cross the road to get to the lake, and that's a big issue. And so I talked to the mayor of Minden, and he said, I know we've had a sign, I don't know where you are on Wickamog Road, but I think we had one of those signs that come on and say, slow down, or you're going, yeah. I think he said they put 2 on some of the roads and it did work. I'd like to try that.
Well, that sign is at Crocodile Lane, so it's coming down the first hill there. It's not there that often.
No.
And secondarily, it doesn't, it doesn't slow the vehicles down. You come down the hill and then you're already speeding. So I don't think it's going to be the solution. I appreciate the road's narrow. I'm just wondering,
Well, that's the problem with putting a bollard in the middle, I think, because the road, like the roads we're talking about in the cities, they're full 66 feet wide. And we don't have that here. We have 20 some feet. So they're not 66 feet wide, but they're probably 8 or 10 feet wider than the Wickamog Road. So it's a big issue.
Maybe I can just answer that first. So the manufacturer Newmarket said that they generally look at 6 meters as the distance that they need. It can be slightly narrower. So they have a slightly narrow road on Mulock Road.
18 feet then, eh?
Yeah, approximately. And as I mentioned, the one in Muskoka is not in Bracebridge or Gravenhurst. It's on Port Severn Road. So it's on a cottage type of road as well. So that was the other consideration.
But I do know that the flashing lights in Inglesby, they catch my attention when I'm going through them.
Yeah.
The bollards, I do have a problem with on that note. My own opinion is you get through the bollard, and because that Wickamog Road is so long, another kilometer down the road, start speeding up again because you lost a reminder on it. But I think the best solution is some additional signing, or what you just mentioned in regards to the blinking lights, because it gets your attention, whether it's, if we put 3 of them, 1 at each end and 1 in the middle or something, or we put some blind corner signs up saying caution.
More signage.
Rate these couple critical areas that were mentioned earlier on, might be a better solution to it, but anyway.
We've got to keep trying until we get it slowed down. Yes.
Well, I drive down there very frequently and where the flashing light is, people are already back up to 50 kilometers an hour by the time they get to the first corner. So I think maybe we need to move the flashing light, because it is very narrow down along where the public beaches and stuff. And it is dangerous walking, especially in the winter, and in the summer cars are just going faster. So there's certainly valid concerns. It's similar on Wonderland Road, although Wonderland Road is much wider. I have asked Rob on numerous occasions about the traffic counts and traffic studies about reducing the speed limit. Even if we could drop it to 30 or 40 once you get past Crocodile Lane, where it starts to get narrow and windy before you go past Silver Beach and stuff.
Well,
Yeah, like you said, Marie, it's an issue everywhere, but that particular sign there, that would get my attention more than something in the middle of the road, to tell you the truth. Like when you're driving along there, the picture of the little girl, which says slow down for my safety. I think putting a couple of them along the way.
well, we'll try several things here. We got
But they're not on the road, right? They're on the shoulder, kind of like, culvert, like the boulevard of somebody's property, shoulder.
We do have the digital road signs already in our inventory that we can make use of and the road staff can install.
How much are these?
$275. Well, I guess the problem with the signs is that the enforcement is not happening. So the question is, whether it slows them down for a few feet, a few meters, maybe. But as I said, this has been used across many municipalities and they're very happy with them. I mean, the question is for why aren't more roads? And I guess what needs to happen on each of the roads, it's a request, if that's what the concern is, that there has to be a study. So the number of cars and the traffic that they're going at. So I did write my letter back in September and we asked for the data. I think we can get, if you need more data off those signs specifically, there is a stealth mode that is on those machines, as far as I understand, or consideration to use the county machines to collect more data. But, if X number of roads come forward and ask for it, then all of those considerations will have to be taken into account, that it can't be every road
we can't do every road.
in the
that's for sure.
municipality, for sure. I get it. I just don't believe what we see, that even putting the signs up, as you said, it'll get their attention for a little bit, but it's not enforced. So they're not going to slow down. They just continue to pick up speed as they go down further. And we're talking, as you said, it's about 2.8 kilometers. So it's not a huge distance from 21 to Halliburton Heights, right? That's where we're talking about. Once you get on the other side, it's Minden, so you go up the hill and you're not necessarily having the same considerations. But I did make sure we checked into the width of the road. As I said, I don't know. I checked in front of my cottage. I think that they've checked in front of Silver Beach. It's 20 feet or over 20 feet. So it's over the 6 meters. And, there are post-implementation studies that have been done in many of these communities to show that they are affecting speed.
So they come down for the winter, they come off.
They come off in October around Thanksgiving or whenever you choose, and then they're implemented in May. So outside of any snow plowing time zones.
Okay. All right, well, we'll go over this again with our roads guy and see what options we have.
Okay, very
Thank you,
good.
Len.
So I don't know whether you need any more documentation from manufacturers. I did provide some from Newmarket, but these are the ones they sent, so maybe I'll just leave it.
And King Township, we got what they're doing, so.
Yeah, they're all over. As I said, there's 500 municipalities that the signs are being used in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Resolution then,
Murray, or council in general too, do you want to direct staff to return with a report on possible traffic calming recommendations
yeah,
for
we need to
Wigglebog Road?
discuss what's being presented here and to talk about it.
Is that a good way to say it then?
Yep.
Okay, so be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the delegation from Wigamog Road residents expressing concerns about speeding on Wigamog Road and further direct staff to return with a report on possible traffic calming recommendations for Wigamog Road.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Fire Department, Dan?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Thank you for having me join you. Quick, very brief standard report to start with here for the fire department. As you can see from the totals for the year to date, we are actually down from last year, which is great to hear. But November itself was one of the busier months for us. So the fire department's been back out to some heavier stuff. I was in a meeting yesterday and I understand because of the ambulances being in the area due to our new CT scanner, that's part of what's been helping calm our numbers is what their thoughts are. So that's very nice to hear for the community that all is working well. One other thing to report there quickly, we have gone through the process of promoting 2 firefighters to take up the positions of captains, and they'll be taking that position effective January 1st. And that will line up with the retirement of Captain Miles Mott. So, are there any questions on my report there?
Questions? No? Okay.
Okay.
Resolution.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for November 2024.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, proposals for an RFP 2024 Fire 18. Replacement rescue apparatus. Is that you, Dan?
Yes, that's me again. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So this is a long process, partly because I'm not as familiar with it. So last year, I requested permission to go ahead and seek out the option to have this vehicle replaced, as it's due to be replaced in 2026. So I have consulted with several manufacturers and mechanics and some different ideas to try and get work on our design. With the help of our procurement lady, Jennifer Colbert, we've set out proposal and closed the end of October there. Had a chance to review it, and we've got 4 proposals sent to us. And through the selection process, we've recommending that we seek a contract with Carrier Emergency Vehicles in order to have this vehicle replaced. They say they can have it for 2026 as we required.
Do you have a price on that?
Yes, I do. Sorry. The price that they're extending is $325,000, $345.60.
Glad they put the 50 cents on there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that price is excluding HST.
Okay. 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 So you've zeroed in on one place that you're going to order from then?
Yes. So based on a couple of criterias, 2 of the proposals were rejected because as they didn't fit, and then there was comparisons for the value added, certain things that were recommended within the proposals themselves, and the price as a consideration, it led me to the recommendation to go with Carrier.
Okay. I assume we have some of that money because we put some aside, I think, every year, or we used to.
Yes, there's supposed to be a certain amount put aside in their reserves towards the vehicles.
Okay. Okay, resolution then.
Okay, be it resolved that council award RFP 2024-Fire-18, being the manufacturer of a replacement rescue apparatus, to Carrier Emergency Vehicles Incorporated for a new Ford F-550 for the cost of $325,345.60 plus HST, and that the purchase of the apparatus be funded from the Fire Vehicle Reserve Fund.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Nancy, all in favor? Carry.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, Andrea. guess you're not here. So. There she is.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry, it took a bit of time for me to join in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andrea.
All right. So I just have a quick report of just some of the things that have happened and that are taking place. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Jolly Jog. Believe it or not, there was no snow on the ground. We had fantastic weather and 48 people plus pets that came and took part in the event. And it's just a fun way to get out and get some exercise. Over the Christmas month or the Christmas break, we have a new program called Celebrate the Holidays in Dysart. So people can go around looking for rather large gnomes to see if they can find them and enter a contest. It just gets people moving around the municipality and checking out different areas, also to create some excitement about Fun in February, which will be coming up. And then we've added some, there's lots of public skating opportunities at the arena. We have added in some youth only skates once a week and some sensory skates. We had some requests for those. So they've been well attended, and we try to just add in some public skating when we have some vacancies in the ice, and they've been doing well. We had quite a few people out on Sunday for the public skate, and the weekends are always the busiest, but we also get the regulars that come throughout the week to skate too. So.
Okay. Any questions from council or any discussion? Okay, resolution then, Mallory.
Be it resolved that sorry?
I just go to thank Andrea.
Oh, okay. Be it resolved that council receives the recreation programs and events update report for information purposes.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Walt, all in favor? Barry, thank you. Okay. Building and bylaw, septic maintenance. 3.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yep, so today's report is finally our recap report for how our 2024 inspection year went. So again, we did divide area 5, which is our 5th and final year based on our bylaw, into 2 areas. And we found that we did this sort of in an effort to sort of support our industry partners, as well as to help with coordination on the staff side of things. So we felt like this was a successful year again, and we were able to keep up a little bit easier with regards to communication with property owners, answering questions, dealing with incoming remedial action solutions that were submitted to us and things like that. So this report, it's fairly lengthy and fairly extensive, but it does give a very strong breakdown of the results of the program for the full 2024 inspection season, as well as our results from our new edition of our lake health assessment, and then our projections for what our intentions are for 2025 and coming up. Are there any specific questions that I can speak to?
Any questions? It's a pretty thorough report, we'll see. So are you just about to start over with some of the first ones you've done again, or what's for?
So yeah, so we started off in 2018 in Kinesis Lake. So this year will be our 5th and final year for the program as it was originally set out. So this year we're going to be shifting our focus into Harcourt Park, and that's our last area that we have for the bylaw itself. My understanding, based on our working group with Councillors Boyce and Casey earlier on in the year, was that we're maybe going to shift our focus for a couple of years to focus on our STR properties and getting those inspections sort of at least one and done for the next couple of years. But at this point, it would be dependent on council's direction as to when we want to restart or recycle the program for beginning back up in Kinesis Lake.
How many applications have we got for short-term rental? Do we know?
I can't speak to that myself. That would be bylaw. The last that I had an update, I know that there was minimum of 40, but I believe that that number has grown since then.
Don't have the total? That's a lot.
Oh,
That's a lot anticipated.
Haley just sent me a quick message here. She says it's about 50.
About 50. Okay, that's a good start. Okay. Okay, any discussion for Bree there? No? Resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the Septic Maintenance Inspection Program 2024 year-end report as information.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Good, thank you.
Great,
Okay.
thanks everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Roads, Dave and John.
Okay, so road maintenance status report for November 2024 is bridges and culverts. So we had culvert replacements on Indian Point. Ditching was spot ditching on Indian Point Road and Mountain Street, just for drainage concerns. Snow plowing and removal, snow plowing and removals as required. We did get to use our new trackless machine for removals last week. It worked well. Sanding and salting as required, and safety devices. We did replace guardrail posts on Cattail Road.
Okay. You got the roads in pretty good shape this morning?
Yes, they are. Yep.
Any other questions for Dave? Okay, I guess you're good then, Dave.
Thank you.
Mallory?
Be it resolved that council receives this report outlining road maintenance activities for November 2024 as information.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carry. Okay, John, you're on.
Good morning, Council. This first report is a summary of the 2025 event days for waste management, including the Household Hazardous Waste Days, New to You Community Yard Sale, and Great Haliburton Clothing Swap. Dysart will host 3 Household Hazardous Waste Days in 2025, Saturday, July 26th at the Haliburton Landfill, Saturday, August 9th, 2025 at the Harcourt Landfill, and Saturday, September 13th at the West Guildford Landfill. At those events, ratepayers will be able to drop off at no cost household hazardous waste, and GFL Environmental is the hauler and processor for that material. We'll continue with the intermunicipal agreement with the other lower tier municipalities. So Dysart ratepayers will be able to attend the other 9 events that take place in the other lower tier municipalities. So residents will have 12 different events in total that they can drop off their hazardous waste in 2025. Again, due to provincial regulations, those events are for residents only, and businesses and organizations would be responsible for managing their own hazardous waste materials that their businesses or organizations generate. The New to You Community Yard Sale, our 4th annual event, will take place on Saturday, July 19th in the parking lot of the AJ LaRue Arena. And then in partnership with Fleming College, Haliburton School of Art and Design, we'll host the 2nd annual Great Haliburton Clothing Swap on Saturday, October 4th, 2025. The expenses for all these events will be allocated in the 2025 environmental management budget, which you'll be seeing on Friday. And the expenses for the hazardous waste days is budgeted at approximately $70,000. That's it for those events.
Did you say 70,000?
Correct. Yes, for the 3 household hazardous waste days.
What's that 70,000 get us? Other than we drop off our paint cans and they pick them up.
It has a bit of, there's a mobilization fee to have GFL be present, and then the processing costs for all the materials that is collected at those events. It's a very standard fee that municipalities are having to pay. We do get some money back from the products producer responsibility organizations that manage some of the hazardous waste materials. However, it does not cover the vast majority of the costs, as the provincial government has not regulated most hazardous waste under their hazardous and special products regulation.
Is there a breakdown of that where they give you an idea what the mobilization cost is and the breakdowns or no?
Yeah, so the mobilization fee, we're still waiting for the exact fees for 2025, but this past year, the mobilization fee for each event was $4,000.
And the residuals that processing is a processing fee.
Correct. That is a standard fee. Any municipality in Ontario would be paying a comparable cost for hazardous waste. It's a very expensive program for municipalities to implement, but it is keeping exceptionally harmful material out of landfill and providing a great opportunity for residents to drop off those items and ensure they're being recycled or properly disposed of.
So is there a mechanism there to monitor how much gets dropped off? If that's the case, like if you take 70 divided by 3 and then say in Harcourt, they show up with 20 cans of paint. Like I can't see that costing whatever, $25,000, whatever that number is.
No, the $70,000 is not equally split between the 3 events. Haliburton landfill, because it has the most attendance and the most tonnage of hazardous waste at that event will cost more money than the event that takes place at Harcourt.
Okay, but do they bill us by the pound or by the
ton, by the metric ton?
Okay, so it's a measured equation then. Okay.
Yes.
So 70 is a budget figure. Might not be 70. Is that correct?
70 is a budget figure, but it's definitely close to 70.
Yeah, if you can give us a breakdown after the event, I'd like to see that for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be that much, but I'm shocked a little bit.
That's similar to last year, is it not?
It is similar to last year, definitely. The great news too is because we have now permanent drop-off locations for paint. For example, the Home Hardware's take back paint year round for no cost. We have less of that material coming in, so our costs have kind of come down from previous years because there are other options for residents for managing that material.
Okay. So Home Hardware look after their own paint then?
Any resident can bring any brand of paint back to Home Hardware, both in Haliburton and Minden. They have an agreement with the product producer responsibility organization Product Care to manage those items, and you just bring it back to the paint desk, and all that material is collected and recycled.
Okay.
Just to note, we also, unless something's changed, John, we also have the opportunity to go to all the other landfills in the county, which we didn't have before a couple of years ago. So if you couldn't make it to one of our 3 events, you could still go to Pine Springs or Buxton or wherever else they have them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the intermunicipal agreement's really popular, so we definitely have a lot of residents from Dysart attend events in other municipalities for their hazardous waste days.
Okay. Resolution then, Mallory?
Yeah. Be it resolved that council receive this report for information about the 2025 Household Hazardous Waste Days, New to You Community Yard Sale, and the Great Haliburton Clothing Swap.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, your redesign.
Correct. So in June of this year, staff presented a potential redesign for Haliburton landfill, which is also included in this report as well. During that meeting, staff identified very rough costs of approximately $1.5 to $2 million to complete that work based on similar work happening at neighboring municipalities. During that meeting, council directed staff to consult with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks about having the scale system and construction and demolition waste collection at West Guildford landfill. And so reporting back on that situation. We were talking to our environmental consultant, JP2G, regarding West Guildford landfill and whether that site would be suitable to have the scale system and to be the sole location for construction and demolition waste. The challenge with West Guildford landfill is the proximity to a residential home, which is adjacent to the property that we're in the process of purchasing. Because there would be a probable need for a second entrance onto Highway 118, and a turning lane would likely need to be installed on Highway 118, which would require Ministry of Transportation input and approval, and also the need for Indigenous consultation due to the proximity of the Alderville First Nation property. So it was recommended that Halliburton landfill be the location for the scale system and the sole site to manage construction and demolition waste. So again, we've included the drawing from JP2G for Halliburton landfill. In that drawing, the entranceway to the site would be moved up further along Industrial Park Road. Vehicles would be assessed upon entry, so there'd be a kiosk required at that entry point. The scale system would be installed to weigh in and out vehicles. There would no longer be bins at the top of the landfill site. Instead, we'd have a public drop-off area for residential blue box, 4 compactor bins for garbage. And the new area would need to be engineered with poured concrete to prevent settling. And the retaining walls would need to be sufficiently high enough so users could access the bins. And again, a kiosk for staff there. Furniture, construction, and demolition waste would be emptied onto a concrete pad, which is already existing under a maintenance building. So the maintenance building would need to be torn down. The site's backhoe would then push the materials into a waiting transport trailer for hauling off site. We would also install additional bins and bays for additional materials, including the non-eligible blue box materials, scrap metal, yard waste, and some extra bins for diversion programs. Again, this drop-off area would be engineered on poured concrete to prevent settling. And then the existing site entrance would be repurposed to have a more permanent reuse center on the site. So all of these additions to the site, we would anticipate Halliburton landfill would then be open 7 days a week, and West Guildford landfill could potentially move to reduced hours of operation. So staff are recommending that if council support this plan, that staff would proceed to developing with a comprehensive budget with an engineered construction plans for capital enhancements to the site based on these drawings. Those costs have not been incorporated into the 2025 budget. So this is something council could deliberate more with more financial information entering 2025 for implementation in 2026. That's it for the report. Any questions?
So we don't have an estimate now on the cost, then, or is it the same?
The very rough estimate based on work that's been done similarly in Minden Hills and Algonquin Highlands is at least $1.5 million to $2 million to do this work. Again, if we were to proceed to more advanced engineering drawings, we'd have a better sense of what that cost would actually be.
John, going back to where that concrete pad was for the C&D waste, what's the dimension of that, do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. At the moment, it does have essentially a 3-bay storage maintenance building on it. So it is pretty large. If we're pushing the material directly into a waiting transport trailer, then it's not going to be stockpiled as what we currently experience at Halliburton landfill.
It seems small to me, but anyway, I guess when we get the engineer's drawing, we can sort that out.
It does seem small.
Too small. And again, if we crush it at our own cost there, it's going to get the density up in those bins. So we're not paying massive amounts by the yard when it's more condensed if we're paying by the ton. But anyway.
Any other discussion on it?
When are you coming back with the next, so do we make a decision on engineering costs or moving forward or what?
So if council is feeling that this plan is suitable for us to proceed with in terms of getting more advanced costing and engineering drawings, then we'll do that. It would likely be spring, summer before we come back with what those drawings are and a more detailed costing, which could be incorporated into the 2026 budget.
What's that engineering cost going to cost us?
I'm not sure at this point.
So we'd need to budget that for 2025, the engineering cost then.
We do have some budget allocated in the 2020 budget to accommodate some of this work in terms of the drawings and whatnot. So I think we'd be able to accommodate that initial engineering, at least to give us a sense of what the budget's going to end up being like.
I think we gotta figure out what they're gonna cost what it's gonna cost us for a budget, because it could be 2,000, could be 20,000.
A lot more than that.
Barbara, how much is tucked away for the engineering costing?
Nothing.
That explains that.
Yeah, that's a clear answer. Well, maybe JP2J will give you a ballpark anyway, John.
Yep, I can confirm with them what they would estimate that cost would be.
Yeah, they'd be close, I think. I know they're not cheap. They do a good job. Okay. Anything else to discuss on that? Okay, resolution then, Mallory.
Be it resolved that council directs staff to proceed with developing a comprehensive budget with engineered construction plans for the capital enhancements to Halbert landfill based on the drawing by JP2G Consultants presented to Dysart Council on December 10th, 2024.
Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you very much.
Murray, can we take a break,
Oh, I don't know.
please?
Do you need one? Okay.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
We'll take 10 minutes or 15. Good, okay, council will resume then, and Barb, we're looking at you here shortly. There she is. Okay, Barbara, whenever you're ready.
Okay, yes. Oh. Okay, so good morning, council. The first finance report here is the check registries for November 2024. Total vendor payments were $1,956,238. And total payroll was $266,967 for total disbursements of $2,223,000.
Okay, any questions on that? Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the November 2024 check summary.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Pat, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, insurance premium renewal.
Yes, so this is the annual renewal for insurance for 2025, seeing a modest increase of 6.84% or $28,256 plus PST. Nothing too alarming. Our municipal general liability coverage has increased 5%. Automobile coverage has increased 13.3%. And the blanket property limit coverage, the general liability, has gone up 7.7%. Property values had an 8% inflation factor applied to them and CPI of 2%. So for 2025, the total insurance premium is $441,340 plus the PST.
We didn't get rid of the HST on that if we pay it now.
HST is not applied to insurance premium. It's just the PST portion.
I'd take advantage of the big guy there in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council accepts the municipal insurance program renewal proposal from Marsh Canada Limited effective January 1st, 2025 to January 1st, 2026.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Pat, all in favor? Carry. Okay, auditors.
Yes, so we have a bylaw here to appoint the auditors for the 2024 audit, and the firm is Doan Grant Thornton LLP. Just a little bit of a name change. You'll notice them as Grant Thornton in the past audits. So we're looking to engage them for our 2024 audit, and interim audit will be starting next week.
How long have we had them?
This will be the 6th year.
Have we gone out for any other proposals?
Not this year. We're looking to renew with them for another term.
Okay. You gotta keep these guys honest. Okay, resolution then, Mallory?
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-108, being a bylaw for the appointment of auditors, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Barb. We'll see you on Friday. Okay. Jeff and Chris. Chris, next.
Yes, thank you. So this is the application that we heard this morning for Clausen, and council had no concerns. There were no public comments or concerns, and staff recommended approval of the application, as well as direction from council to recommend the approval.
Any discussion? Mover and seconder? Or resolution, I guess, first, Mallory.
Sure. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-109, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2005-120 for the lands of Klossner, which consists of part lot 15, concession 10, block A, parcel 1, plan 395, in the geographic township of Harbor, municipality of Dysart et al., which would change the zone on the subject property from open space zone to waterfront residential type 3-4 exception zone. Be read a first, second, and third time, pass, sign, the corporate seal attached thereto.
Okay. Mover and second. Barry and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next, who's doing this one?
Thank you, I will. So this next one is a joint application by the Kippings and their neighbors, the Garley and the Greggs, to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their respective properties, but also the original road allowance located between their properties, which leads to Kashagawigamog Lake. The Kippings wish to build a small garage, while the Garleys and the Greggs would like to clean up the falling trees located on the municipal road allowance and note that it is not being maintained by the municipality. Based on the direction provided by the official plan, the application to purchase the original road allowance should be denied, while the shore road allowance can be conveyed subject to the removal of a shed located near the lake. Subject to any questions, staff recommend the resolution provided.
I agree with not doing the original road because it's one of the few accesses we have to Kashag. Okay, so resolution then, Mallory? Yes.
Be it resolved that council, based on direction of section 3.2.7 of the official plan, deny the request by Kipping and Garley and Gregg, file L07-RO-2024-018 to purchase a portion of the original road allowance between concessions 7 and 8 in lot 8 and 9 in the geographic township of Dysart. And be it resolved that council approves for processing a joint application by Kipping, Garley and Gregg, file L07-RO-2024-18 to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Kashagawigamog Lake in front of their properties in part lot 8 and 9, concession 7 and 8 in the geographic township of Dysart. Pursuant to section 3.2.7 of the official plan, the shed located within the water setback shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. These lands are declared surplus.
Walt, you had a comment?
Yeah, Jeff, how long has that shed been there?
We don't have information for that. So what the official plan says is that council can, or the municipality can recognize the location of that shed if it was first assessed or there was a building permit from prior to 1977, which we have neither.
So it could have been there a long time.
It's possible. It should be noted that the the resolution is worded in a way. And I just want to double check that. Yeah, so the conditions worded in a way that if they can prove that it has been there that long, that it would satisfy council's condition. So it says, pursuant to the section 3.2.7 of the official plan, the shed located within the water setback shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. So if they provide proof to staff that that structure's been there since prior to 1977, that will bring it into compliance with the zoning bylaw and satisfy that condition.
And needless to say, they're aware of that.
I will double check with Lana, but we will make sure they're aware of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we've heard the resolution. All in favor?
I don't think we got a mover and seconder because we got a question after.
Yeah. Oh, what are you telling me?
Just that we need a mover and seconder.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Walt and Carm, all in favor? Thank you. Okay. Lands and Brash.
Yeah, the next application is from the Brashes to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their property located on Kinesis Lake. So this application is a result of a notice of violation issued by the Bylaw Enforcement Department. The applicants note that the intent of this application is to gain ownership of the shore road allowance and then make a minor variance application to address encroachment and compliance issues with regards to the boathouse and the shed. Based on the direction from the official plan and the zoning bylaw, the shed and boathouse should be removed. Again, it's similar to the last application. Actually, the difference being that boathouse was originally assessed prior to 1977. However, it was removed without permit at some point, without a demolition permit. and reconstructed without a building permit. So that doesn't comply with the zoning bylaw first off, but it also creates issues in terms of when was it constructed? Is it still the same size? So subject to any questions based from council, based on the direction provided by the official plan, staff recommend approval of this application, but subject to the removal of those buildings.
How do they take that? Do they know that yet?
Again, I'm not too sure. I would have to double check with the staff who's responsible for processing these. We do make the staff reports available to the applicants so that they know what our reports say. And I have not heard from them yet. But if council wishes to convey anything additionally, we can pass that message on.
No, you go ahead.
What if, I guess if they returned it to the state in the size that it was originally, obviously can't put it in the state it was, but the size that it was and everything, is that something that we can let them do? Rather than just get rid of it totally?
It's possible. So the issue is this came through from the bylaw department in discussion with the building department. They've already deemed that it's lost any legal non-conforming or legal non-complying status it has. So I'll back up. There's two things here. First, boathouses are not permitted in the waterfront zone. So there was a boathouse prior to the bylaw coming into effect. So at one point, there was a boathouse that had legal non-conforming status. The structure is also within the setback, which is legal non-complying status versus legal non-conforming. So by removing that at some point, there's no record of what size that building was. We could work with them to see if they could provide us any information as to how tall that structure was, where it was located, and its dimensions. But there is a section in the zoning bylaw that it doesn't comply with. So when it's a legal non-conforming use, like a boathouse, which isn't permitted, it says that building cannot be reconstructed unless that building is destroyed beyond the control of the owner. So like it has to be destroyed by weather, it has to be destroyed by fire for them to even be able to rebuild that. The bylaw does not allow them just to reconstruct it if they want to. So they would need a zoning amendment or a variance to address that.
When you say reconstructed, Jeff, do you mean like upgraded, say? Is that reconstructed or I'm just not so much that applies on this issue. I'm just wondering on any issues, like if they wanted to reside the boathouse or something or put a new roof on it, does that that's allowable?
Yep. So the bylaw allows them to keep it, and I'm just going to take the wording right from the bylaw. It allows them to strengthen or restore it to a safe condition, provided that it doesn't get any taller or bigger. So they can keep the upkeep on it internally, externally, but they cannot tear it down and rebuild it unless it was destroyed by means beyond their control.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question was similar to what Barry just said. In other words, like if they can come up with any proof that it was there before, what is it, 1970? 77. Okay. Okay, I think you answered Barry's question, and that was kind of what I wanted to know too. And I guess they must be aware of that too then, Jeff, right?
Well, we can make them aware of whatever council decides.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Mallory?
Okay, be it resolved that council approve for processing an application L07-RO-2024-021 by Brash to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Kinesis Lake in front of their property in Part Lot 7, Concession 2, in the geographic township of Havelock. These lands are declared surplus. Pursuant to Section 3.2.7, the shed and boathouse shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Okay, mover and second. Pat and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay.
The next item is a request for a memorandum of understanding from the Tall Pines Snowmobile Club to legalize the locations of all snowmobile trails located on municipal property. So we reviewed 2 files last month for 2 other snowmobile associations, and this, I believe, is the last one within our jurisdiction. Similar to those other files, Tall Pines is asking for the fees to be waived for this request. Subject to any questions, staff recommend approval of this request.
Okay, mover and seconder, this is standard. Carm and Nancy, all in favor?
You want me to read it as well?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Be it resolved that council authorizes the execution of a memorandum of understanding with the Tall Pines Snowmobile Club to formalize and legalize the location of all snowmobile trails located on lands owned by the municipality. The mayor and clerk will execute the MOU upon receipt of proof of insurance. And further, that the attached MOU replaces and rescinds all previous MOUs and permissions to use the road allowances approvals with Tall Pines Snowmobile Club for use of a municipal land for snowmobile purposes. And further, that council agrees to waive the application and legal fees associated with the memorandum of understanding with Tall Pines Snowmobile Club. And I've got the mover and seconder, so.
You have the mover and seconder, that's good. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, appointment to members of the Dysart Committee of Adjustment.
Yes, and this is just a technicality required every year. So it's a report to appoint the councillors who serve on the Committee of Adjustment for the 2025 calendar year. As per the report, 4 council members are appointed annually, and then one of them chooses to sit on the committee each meeting for the year. So subject to any questions, a recommendation has been provided.
So it's up to the 4 to decide who serves them, right?
Correct. We staff do not get involved in that. We put it to the 4 members.
Okay, so I guess we're ready again, Mallory, for a resolution.
Be resolved that the following members of council are appointed to sit as members of the Committee of Adjustment for the 2025 calendar year, effective January 1st, 2025. Barry Boyce, Tammy Donaldson, Pat Casey, and Carm Sawyer.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
So council's seen this next item a few times previously. And bear with me, I'm going to try and go through it pretty quickly. The purpose of this report is to seek consensus and direction regarding council's vision for a potential official plan amendment to permit structures to be located within the minimum water setback. The scope of the changes will determine whether the amendments to the official plan and zoning bylaw can be completed internally, or whether a consultant will be required to proceed. A quote from a local planning firm has been provided should that's the scale of the amendment require their services. Staff comments and options have been provided in the report in hopes of finding a solution to proceed. I don't want to take too much time to go into it, but the recommendation provided today is to proceed with policies that would permit 1 gazebo within the water setback. Provisions for that recommendation would include limiting the size and location of the gazebo, require the applicants to purchase their shore road allowance, and obtain a positive shoreline assessment from the building department. So in staff's opinion, that trade-off in rewarding those property owners who have maintained their shoreline in a natural state for them to have a gazebo within the water setback helps to satisfy the policies and the primary objectives of our official plan. Excuse me. So I'm happy to answer any questions council may have about the report. I do seek specific direction how you want to proceed today. I can go into it a little bit more in depth if you like. I'm just kind of looking for your direction.
That looks like some kind of a compromise you're proposing here to look after the gazebos, which seems to be the big concern. I guess what size has to be determined, and doesn't matter what size we pick, somebody will have one that's 2 feet bigger, and then if we're trying to help them, then we got to violate our own bylaw. So bearing that in mind, we need to make sure we get it right the first time.
So Jeff, is this specifically for gazebos?
Yes.
Yes, well, that's the recommendation being provided today. So in the report, I do note that council was considering Highlands East policies at one point and made a recommendation regarding that. But yes, this provision, it just seems that council, based on their discussion, we're looking to provide a structure that could be used for leisure, to get out of the bugs, to get out of the sun. So the proposed provisions are to permit one gazebo per lot. The maximum gross floor area would be 10 square meters, thus not requiring a building permit. The maximum height of 3.5 meters. Provisions would note that it cannot be used for storage or contain, contain living accommodations. And based on discussion, it should be kind of natural in color and blend with the natural surroundings as much as possible.
That's 100 square feet roughly then. That's big, that's good size.
Yep,
Depending on-
just over.
Then I would agree with this resolution that we move forward and you do what you have to do to bring this back.
I think that we should, I like what we're proposing, Jeff, but I think we should, at the very minimum, include a shed, especially for steep lots that you can't have access to, or a million steps up to your house or whatever. On that note, and again, I can't, you know, in order of urgency or importance to me, then I think hot tub's the next item because we often hear them come across here. So anyways, just, I'm not trying to complicate it or drag this out, but I really think sheds should be included there as a minimum.
Would you have them tied to the grade of the lot? Like, that makes some sense. Otherwise, you're gonna have them on flat lots. I think it was 12% or something what was used before.
Murray, I've been up around Kenice and Redstone a little bit, and there's a lot of them round saunas sitting up on the beach. You know what I mean? Like the barrel saunas, there's lots of those around. So I don't know if we should.
I think then you're into I don't know, Jeff, you can tell us. If we're adding several other things, you're into a complete official man plan change, aren't you?
Well, yeah, it depends on what council lands on, but yeah, different structures come with different impacts. Yeah, it depends on what you land on. We were trying to, and this was the recommendation today was actually provided by the chief building official, and I thought it was a good trade-off. So right now, what our zoning bylaw allows is up to 20 square meters of patio and deck within the water setback. So you're limited to 20 square meters. This proposal would add a gazebo to that so that no more vegetation is being removed. And that's the intent we're trying to satisfy here, is retaining as much vegetation as possible so that we satisfy the intent of the official plan. In terms of allowing a shed or a sauna, it's something I could go back and look at. Hot tubs come with their own impacts in terms of potential lake impacts. So that one I might be caution council on, but council can choose whatever they want. It's just, as I said, the scope is going to determine how much this might cost and how much time this might take.
Jeff, will there be a limitation to the number of structures in the setback? Like you would have your gazebo, or you can have your hot tub, or whatever the case may be, but you're not going to have your, you know, your sauna over here and your gazebo here and your patio over here.
The proposal is just for one. So council needs to be aware that any structure you permit other than this proposal, the site alteration bylaw allows you to clear 5 meters around that structure. So if that structure is within 5 meters of the lake, you can clear the 5 meters in front of it and 5 meters both ways. So you're really clearing almost 15 meters of shoreline for every structure or for every building that you put down there. So the recommendation is just to allow one.
Jeff, I'd like to see, in my opinion, I like the gazebo idea, but with the other three is that they're a little farther setback, you know, whether it's 10 meters or 15 meters or 20 meters maybe, but but then they also have to provide some type of coverage, you know, with some trees or bushes, so they're not sticking right out. You know, on people looking at them. I've been on quite a few properties in the last year, and you know, I guess they're breaking the law. But there's, you know, a gazebo, there's a hot tub, and there's a sauna, but they were all set back. And I went down to the dock, stood on the dock and looked, and you couldn't see any of those other. So I think that's something that's just my opinion that we should consider. Okay, thank you.
Another one, Jeff, well, if we could make it as simple as possible and just say you can have it 10 by 10, if that's what we agree on. And you can have it all three, like you can only have one of, but it can either be a gazebo, a shed, or a sauna, say. And that's it. It's just, and it can be 10 by 10 or whatever we decide it is. You get one of them and that's it. And would that be the easiest way to, seems pretty simple to me that way. Walt, like Walt said, I don't know if we can put a setback in there of some sort to say that any of them have to be back 3 meters from the thing or whatever we decide, but make it that simple. Would that get us away from having to hire these consultants and you guys do it?
That might work. I want to go back and look at it. Again, I just was kind of focusing on the proposal of a gazebo today, but that might work if it's still limited to one structure within, and based on what we've submitted today, that up to that 20 square meters that permits a patio on a deck, you can include and one building and limit it to 10 square meters, and it has to be a gazebo, a shed, or a sauna. It's an option. I could go back and look at that, but I'm hearing lots of different ideas. That's why I need to get a bit of a consensus today, just so I have some direction how council wants me to proceed.
Jeff, lastly, for me, I agree with what Barry said. Even if, you know, the hot tub's got to stay back closer to the house, that gets away from everybody's perception of dumping chemicals that leach into the lake is one thing, but in regards to the amount of clearable area around one of the three, I wonder if we could put that in there just to be 1 meter instead of it being 15 feet on all sides. I don't know why you would clear that amount, but anyway, my own opinion.
Good thought.
Is that possible to change the meters?
Well, we don't have to change it for the entire site alteration bylaw from 5 meters around buildings and 3 meters around structures. As per the report, I know council was once upon a time looking at a Highlands East policies, and I can't remember exactly what it says here, but I think their structures had to be 4 meters from the lake, and they were permitted one structure between and it gave the options, like Barry mentioned, of a shed or an outdoor sauna. But my recommendation is that would have to have some sort of vegetation buffer between that structure and the lake so that it wasn't cleared. So council can impose that as a policy, that it be set back a certain distance and that it require at least this much of a vegetation buffer between it and the lake, or this, not just the lake, but also neighboring properties.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to explain, that my point where I'm at with the other three. So they're not visible from the lake. And not right as close to the lake as the gazebo would be, where the gazebo's down there so people could sit in the sun and, you know, watch kids in the water. That's the key to being out of the sun and watching your kids or grandparents watching kids. So.
Also, can the 12% grade or whatever we want to pick it at, can that override the however many meters we choose to pick? Because the same as over in Kinesis, the grades are way more than 12% and you might only have 10 feet. So if that could say the grade, let's say if it was 12% or greater grade, then that overrides how close it could be.
Like, anything's possible. I'm just writing down these options. And it might have a lot of provisions. I'm just trying to summarize what council's asking for, but you're right, topography can play into this. That's up to council if they only want to provide these structures to people who have topographical constraints. We can do that, or it can be provided across the board. I guess that's what I'm seeking direction for today.
There's at least one lake, if not more, in our township that have that in place already. I believe Percy Lake has that.
That's correct. Percy does, and that was outlined in previous reports, Barry. And it says, I think they have over a 15% slope measured over a horizontal distance, 30 meters inland. So, but I can tell you that policy went into place quite a while ago, and we've not received one request. So I don't know if that policy works. The requirements of that policy talk about not storing vehicles and I think flammables or other hazardous materials, but it requires them to get a zoning bylaw amendment first off, purchase their shore road allowance, and do a site plan agreement. So the costs and the approval process in terms of time and cost is quite extensive for the trade-off of a shed. So no one's ever done that. The ones you see out there are not permitted by the bylaw. Long story short, I recommend maybe going something simpler, and if that's what council wants to do, something a little more effective.
Jeff, another thought is our square footage. I think a lot of gazebos are 10 by 12s and 12 by 12s. Like the factory, but when you go to Costco and buy whatever. So we might want to look into what's a common size.
Yep, we can look into that. The reason for 10 square meters, anything over that requires a building permit. So that's why we were putting that limit. I don't think that was a recommendation from the building department to try and prevent the need for a building permit for these structures, but we can do other sizes. Again, we tied it to the maximum of 20 square meters. So if they went 12 square meters, they'd only be allowed 8 square meters of deck or patio.
We may have a problem if we're saying one of the three the homeowner could pick, but there's a gradient attached to all three. On that note, if somebody's just looking to put a gazebo on their dock or down close to the lake, it's one thing, but you know, a barrel sauna, I don't know, on the same note, it's something to think about though.
Jeff, could you just double check that too? For some reason I had it in my head that there was 160 square feet or something now instead of a 10 by 10. Am I wrong there?
For sheds, I believe.
Storage sheds only. Anything else would require over 10 square meters. And if I may, I just wanted to comment on Councillor Casey's comments. So the proposal would not permit a structure on the dock. This would be above the high water mark on land. So if we're looking to permit structures on docks, that's also another zoning issue, because that section of, I want to say land, but it's not land, it's water, is zoned lakes and rivers, which does not permit residential uses. So we're looking above the high water mark for these structures. For staff's proposal. So we're looking for direction from council.
Any more thoughts, Nancy?
Well, just one, if we simplify it, and one structure being shed, sauna, or gazebo, permit in all the zones. Minimum water setback, if you want to pick 3 meters, that's like 10 feet, that's kind of the ribbon of life. And then you pick your maximum floor area, 15 square meters. I don't know if you don't have walls, do you need a building permit? That would be a Carl question. Yeah, well, it sheds 10 by 10. Is it? Okay, well, 15 square meters is 161, so they have to have the shore road allowance and then maybe a 1 meter buffer in all directions to help maintain as much shoreline vegetation as possible.
The only thing I might change there is I kind of agree with Walt, maybe that if it's possible to say that gazebos maybe could be a little bit closer for obvious reasons of what he just mentioned there.
There's no pollution of a gazebo.
In a gazebo, yeah. So You got all that, Jeff?
Well, the next report I bring back might be a summary and seeking more direction, but I did write a few things down. And I should note the proposal we were submitting today did not require a water setback for the structures. Again, it just allowed those structures to be within the water setback. So we can come back and say, you're right, if it's a gazebo, there is no minimum. Because what we were trying to do is limit the removal of vegetation. But we could require that it is, say, if it is a shed or if it is a outdoor sauna, that it be set back at least 3 meters and require 2-meter vegetation buffer. Ideally, we have at least a 3-meter vegetation buffer, but yeah, that's up to council. So I can try and bring something back. Did that sound about right? One of each, 15 square meters. Choice between a shed, sauna, or a gazebo. I know, Pat, you have mentioned a hot tub. There are, again, as you mentioned, there are some environmental concerns if there are some spills within the lakes. That is the reason for the setbacks. But it's something we can look at.
Yeah, I think we kept the hot tubs out of that ribbon of life area back towards the house more, my own opinion, Jeff.
Should do.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? With hot tubs, you know, if they're 20 meters back, that's 60 feet. That's quite a ways back. And the other two, the sauna and the shed, they might be maybe a little bit, be able to be a little bit closer, but they have to be, you know.
Gazebo and the
Yeah.
shed is not the same.
Because the sauna is not gonna cause anything environmental issues. But I don't think they should be on the docks or I think they should be backset and not seen from the lake, like especially the sheds. I think sheds, some people that build sheds that are really, really nice, but other ones, but I guess we shouldn't be telling people how to build sheds though. You know, what I think is gonna be shed you might not like or whatever.
Okay,
Can I summarize what I think we've
Yeah.
got? So we've got Jeff mentioned 15 square meter structure permitted. Is that what council wants?
I'm for that.
Okay. So no minimum setback for gazebos is the proposal. Sheds or saunas, I've heard are setback 3 meters and require a 2-meter vegetation buffer. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then I've also heard that hot tub should be 20 meters back.
Yep.
Jeff, do you need more than that to come back with a report?
No, I think that's sufficient. And just to clarify, that's what the current setback is for hot tubs. So they are defined as structures. So it is 20-meter setbacks currently.
So we don't need to even mention hot tubs.
No, that wouldn't change.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
When you say 2-meter vegetation buffer, do you mean not clear, or like only being able to clear 2 meters around the
Yeah.
buildings rather than a buffer from the shoreline to it?
Yeah,
No,
it's the buffer that you clear,
You
right?
can, I was suggesting you could, because Councillor Donaldson said you could clear 1 meter, or maybe it was Nancy, clear 1 meter around it for maintenance. Then the remaining 2 meters needs to be a natural vegetation buffer, is what I was suggesting.
Okay, just want to make sure the wording is right.
Help me, that's, again, that's one of the natural, that's one of the intents of our official plan is the visual aesthetics, those natural, when you're on the lake, it's supposed to appear as if the shoreline's not developed. So having that vegetation buffer is one of the key components to this.
Can we add the grade?
I think he's saying that complicates it in terms
Yeah.
of people making applications, and he hasn't had any applications to date where that's in place.
And if I may, yeah, what we're suggesting is to permit these across the board. Are you saying, is there something you're thinking of to allow more leniency or only permit them where there's topographical constraints? What is it you're thinking there?
No, no, it should be all right if it's only, what, 6 feet or 10 feet? That should be all right then, without suggesting the grade.
Okay.
Okay, so I have that noted for the minutes. Jeff, you'll probably need to return with a report that kind of sums this all up clearly, but we can accept this current report if that works for council.
Yep.
Okay, so be it resolved that council receive the staff report related to the proposed amendments to the official plan and zoning bylaw related to structures located within the minimum water setback.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. I'm sure you'll hear from somebody around this. Okay, that's good then, Jeff?
That is everything for the planning agenda. Yes, thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, Harcourt Community Hall.
They have had no meeting, but they're very happy that their water got fixed. The
Get
noise.
that noise stopped?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, they said, I was just talking to them a couple of days ago and they said that there is no noise now. So they're very happy. And I think coming up this weekend is the free dinner that the church puts on there, which has a huge turnout.
Did you ever get talking to the people in past the hall there about that lot? Where I talked to you?
No, it was sold.
It's sold. Okay. West Guilford,
Marie, we don't have another meeting till the end of January.
Rails End, Nancy.
They still have their online auction. It's only open for a couple more days and there's some pretty nice art there that people can bid on online. They're closed for a few weeks over the Christmas holiday. They do have an event and exhibition calendar that is of interest that is on there. And right now they still have the community safety and well-being student show in place at Rails End.
Okay, resolution, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the December 2024 Rails End Gallery and Art Center report.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, BIA, Pat.
Murray, I haven't been to a BIA meeting. It's been kind of a short span since the last township meeting, but but anyway, I haven't been to one. There's one coming up here, so.
Okay. Okay. Resolution then, Mallory?
Yep, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the minutes from the October 8th and 29th, 2024 downtown Halliburton BIA Board of Management meeting as information.
Okay, mover and seconder, Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Harvest Halliburton, nothing, or?
Had a meeting with them at the health unit here last week. They're putting together collect a bunch of people to get a common direction again, what they're going to do to as a rollout for this year and years to come on that note. So I'll report back once they meet once every quarter, I believe. So I'll get back to us in council here when the next meeting.
Good, thank you. Kawartha Halliburton Source Protection. None. Upper Trent.
No, nothing.
No. Okay. So I guess we're going into closed.
Yep. Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 11:14 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to section 239 subsection 2 of the Municipal Act as amended pertaining to 1, a proposed disposition of land in the township of Dysart, which is a County Road 21 property, and 2, advice that is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and that's public works, wastewater infrastructure.
Mover and seconder. That and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, your mic's not
Ready? Okay.
Need to turn your mic on, Murray.
Okay, a resolution on the confirming bylaw.
Okay. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-110, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on December 10th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Adjournment.
Okay. Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting held on December 10th, 2024 at 12:37 p.m.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.